This video is all about modifying your pipeliner welding helmet to accept the Sellstrom flip front. Now the welding helmet, the flip front, and the headgear that I used will all be in the description down below. Now I am not a professional welder, I just wanted a relatively indestructible helmet and I got one with the pipeliner. And I wanted to add a flip front on it just to add a little more usefulness, make the helmet a little more versatile. And that's what it did, and you know, I had some videos help me out on YouTube, but I want to try and maybe make the guide that I wished I had watched before I did this. Anyways, let's hop right into it. So what you may or may not be seeing right now in the background is me removing everything out of the helmet, and that's the first step you want to do. You want to take off all the headgear, you want to take out all of the lenses and everything, so you just have an empty shell of the helmet, because that's exactly what you need. Because we're going to have to do some cutting on this to get the Sellstrom flip front to fit into the helmet. Now, I used a die grinder for this, but you can use a Dremel, a die grinder, and I've also seen people do this with an angle grinder. I personally like the die grinder just because of the control it offers. If I had to do it again, I'd probably just use a Dremel because it's even smaller and offers more control, but the die grinder worked fine. Word of advice when you're cutting this out, be careful where you chuck the die grinder up because it can kick back a little bit and that can cause your cuts to go awry. But essentially when you're cutting this out, you just want to follow the line that is essentially where the molded front starts on the helmet. You just want to cut the molded front out, the stationary front. It's pretty self-explanatory, you don't need to draw any lines or anything. You're going to want to make sure your cut lines are relatively straight and you want to make sure that they're not too long. They don't have to be exactly perfect, but you don't want them going halfway up the helmet or halfway, you know, on the sides of the helmet, because then it just makes the helmet unusable. Now the next step we're going to do is grind out the remnants of the tabs that used to hold in the lens retainer clip. Now this is pretty simple. You just have a carbide bit in your die grinder or sanding bit or whatever in your die grinder Dremel. You're going to need a die grinder or something like it for this process. You just stick it right up in through the hole that you just cut and just grind them flat and you're good to go. Once you get that step completed, you're going to want to take the Sellstrom flip front out of its package and apart and set the top half, the flip front half, aside and just take the bottom half, and you're going to want to hold that up inside the helmet and make little marks where you need to make little holes to accommodate these screw jackets. It's a pretty simple process. You want to make sure that you don't make the screw holes too long. I thought I did that. Turns out, you know, the flip front actually covers them. I just had it a little too far to one direction. But you want to make sure that the flip front will cover the holes made for the jackets. So once you've done that, it just takes a little bit of TLC. I tried using a mallet, it didn't work out too well, but it just takes a little bit of pushing and shoving, and if you've done it right, it should just slip right in. I didn't do it perfectly, but once you get it in there, and once you get the flip front on, it's on, and the process is almost complete. Now I'm going to make one more modification to this helmet. Now, because the flip front adds a little bit of weight, I'm adding the ratchet style headgear, which is super simple to put on, but the back of the helmet tends to hit the knob of the ratchet and it doesn't go all the way back, and I like the fact that the pipeliner goes all the way back, and that's what I want. So I'm going to cut about an inch off the top. You don't have to do this, this isn't necessary. I did it, and personally I think it works out just fine. It doesn't hit the ratchet at all, but it's pretty simple. You just cut, you make a little mark about an inch, and you make a straight line that's about an inch into the helmet, and you cut that, and a little bit of sanding and, you know, hitting it with some emery cloth later, and you've got a nice smooth edge. One other modification that I made off camera, I didn't think this was a video worthy modification. I just cut about 1.5 inches off the bottom of the pipeliner, so now it no longer karate chops me in the chest or neck when I nod my head. And that's about it. All you need to do is throw in your lens of choice and some clear lenses and you're off and welding. So far, I like this. It does add a little bit of weight, but the versatility of the flip front outweighs cons of it, you know, the weight. I use it for chipping slag all the time, small grinding jobs. It helps not to have to take the helmet off. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this short little video. I enjoyed making it, and I ended up with a pretty cool helmet in the process. If you like this video, please consider leaving a like and a comment. And if you want to see more videos welding related, please consider subscribing to my channel. Anyways, this is all from me. I'll see you guys next week. I don't know what